Hi, and welcome to episode 17 of our Natural Health and Astrology series. I'm Annabelle Fraser. I'm a naturopath and a health coach specializing in gut health. And I've teamed up with my friend Laurie Barnes, who will now introduce herself. She's an incredible astrologer.
Hello, I'm Laurie Barnes. I'm located here in Rome, Italy, and I am an astrologer. I am also a psychotherapist who has moved more into the coaching side of things, helping people get aligned with their goals in life and bringing in the astrology part and timing. And yeah, I love doing that kind of stuff. But today we're talking about the new moon coming up in Libra. So I'll just jump right into it.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so the new moon is Wednesday, October the 6th, and it's the 6th for the US and Europe, although it'll be very early in the morning in Rome, Italy, actually be right around midnight Tuesday night if you're in England. But as you go further east, it'll become early in the morning on Wednesday. And so this month is quite interesting, as every month is.
Yeah.
Has some really interesting features that I want to talk about because they're happening at the time of the new moon. And so it's important to be aware that every new moon is influenced by other things going on in the sky. But to the extent that it's influenced, it depends, like how close those other things are to the time and the place in the sky. And sometimes there's every now and then we have a new moon, and really the new moon is the only thing that's really like making a signature in the sky. That is not the case in October. So
there's more going on.
There's more going on. So it's a little more complex. If you have been following either my blog or any astrology blog, you probably already know that Mercury is retrograde. And why that is important for the new moon is that Mercury is retrograde in the same sign as the new moon. So we have this Libra energy is now coming through also through the Mercury retrograde. And then the other thing is that there's another planet involved, and it's the planet Mars. And Mars represents action and energy and drive. And it has its very positive qualities because we all want action and energy and drive, right? We all want to like be able to go out and do what needs to be done. And Mars is this like the planet that we look at in astrology when we're looking at action and energy. But Mars is also expressing through the sign of Libra this month. So Mars comes into the mix as well. So we have like just a lot of Libran energy going on.
What is the Libran energy then? How would you describe that?
So Libra is the diplomat, the mediator, the peacemaker. And the name of our episode this month for the new moon is Refining Relationships Peacefully. And there is a bit of a twist in that because it's going to be a little bit more difficult to do relationships like we normally do in a peaceful way. And that's because we have all this other stuff going on. And so if we were looking at this new moon and only looking at the Libran energy, we would be talking about, oh, it's a new time to start things that have to do with our social relationships or our close personal committed relationships as well. And we have to keep in mind that with Mars present, the way that we go about our relationships may take on a more aggressive or assertive quality. Assertive is typically a good thing. Aggressive is not typically a good thing. And that's the caution that I want to bring to this new moon. And how I've been describing it is that your word, okay, first of all, Libra is an air element. So it's got that social communication quality to it. It's about how we speak and how we communicate in our nonverbal ways. So nonverbal and verbal ways. So the caution that I've been saying is that our words can come out like tiny little daggers if we're not careful. And so we want to refine our relationships, but we want to do it in a peaceful way. And hopefully you're watching this to help work with it or in the flow of the new moon energy. And so this is your caution or your information or your advice, just to monitor yourself, because it's in this time, it's easier to get frustrated. It's easier to lose your patience. And it's easier to kind of like let things fly out of your mouth that maybe you look back and you're like, oh, I wish I would have said it differently. I wish I would have softened that up a bit. I wish that I would have maybe not said that at all, because we do have Mercury retrograde. And, you know, we have Mercury retrograde 3 times a year. We don't have Mercury retrograde always being so prominently featured in a new moon phase, right? So it's just important to know that why it's more important this particular new moon phase than maybe another month when Mercury's retrograde is because it just happens to be in the same sign. And it happens to be pretty close in terms of when we look at energies in astrology, we want to see, you know, are they kind of clustered together, or are they more dispersed? And in this case, they're more clustered together. So all this energy.
So it can feel more intense.
Yes, yes. And so the dichotomy is that Libra is the sign of peacemaking. And so it's kind of like we're going to see a lot of peacemaking, just like in the world, you could say. More pushes towards the peacemaking, but it might be more assertive and aggressive. And so when Libra has the keywords and descriptions of being known as kind of sweet and bubbly and charming and smiling and non-confrontational, and even sometimes as a procrastinator, because Libras are really good at weighing situations. That's why Libra's the scales. You know, when you see the different symbols, is the scales. And so Libras are the sign who is fair, because they weigh everything. They look at both sides equally. And so that's why social justice is a keyword used with Libra. And so with all this Libran energy and, you know, all this kind of push towards having like justice, sometimes it can go to the extreme and the shadow side comes out, like peace at all costs, or self-righteousness. You know, I know I'm right and this is what's best for everyone, so you have to do it my way. And another saying, a Libra saying, is the iron fist in the velvet glove. I don't know if you've heard that one. No. But the iron fist is Libra, who is the one who does have the strategy and the objectivity and the diplomacy to bring peace talks together. But the velvet glove is that they do this with this this very calm and objective and fair way of doing things. You know, that velvet glove is that they are really do consider all points of view. They're not the ones who are making deals in the corner and for selfish
benefit
things. Benefit. But that iron glove is when they can't do it peacefully, then, you know, it's like there's that iron fist in the velvet glove. And so that extreme side, or the shadow side, is peace at all costs. I don't have the research in front of me, but I do know that there have been articles that I've read from astrologers that there are a higher number of Libra generals or military people, because they're so good at bringing the peace. So it's just an interesting side note. So back to
how can we refine our relationships then, with all the background that we have? What would you recommend? Yes. How do we go about that?
Right. So we have to use some of our mindfulness skills, being present in the moment. And, you know, it's kind of, I mean, my past is as a psychotherapist, and I used to teach coping skills every day. And that might not be the words people like to say, is like, oh, I have to use my coping skills. You know, that's a very therapist type language. But in essence, that's what we need to do. We do have to have a plan for, you know, notice your body. Like when you start to feel frustrated and impatient, what does that feel like in your body? We all have it. We may not realize it, but we do. So if you start feeling flush, like a lot of times heat in the face, if you clench your fists, if you raise your voice, like any of those things that, or you get that little butterfly thing in your stomach or the knot in your stomach, these are all signs that it's time to take a deep breath, take a step back, even take a break. You know, if it's happening with a close personal relationship, just say, you know what, things are getting heated. Why don't we just like take 10 minutes, take an hour, you know, whatever seems right for the moment, and then come back when we're more calm. These are really important things to do when you're having these one-on-one conversations.
Okay.
From a bigger perspective, there's this energy, and if you want to kind of like use it up and not let it get contained and festered, sing or dance. Like Libra is a sign for the arts. Libra loves arts and beauty and aesthetics. So whatever that is to you, if you're a musician, play more. If you're a singer, sing more. Even if you're not a singer, sing in the shower, sing. And I say sing because the element is air and it's about communication. And so by singing, it takes energy to sing and release. And so you're just kind of getting some of that out. We are in a retrograde with Mercury, so there could be a lot of benefits from seeking counsel from the past. If there are things that have worked in the past or people that have helped from the past, collaborators from the past, this is a really good time to pull in those connections and get some help there. Let's see, try to use peaceful language, even if you have to practice it up front. You know, when you're communicating, be really careful to choose your words wisely, I think, and not just let what you really want to say fly out of your mouth, which is the risk of this new moon.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it's going to be easy and there's not like a quick fix to it. It's more like being conscious of it and being intentional and purposeful around just watching how this manifests. I'll share more of like more specific things for the intentions and things to do after we hear about the oil, because I know that you always have a really great suggestion for an essential oil to help us through these times.
Yeah, so the essential oil I chose for this episode, based on what you're sharing, Gary, is oregano or oregano in the States. And this, emotionally and spiritually, this oil is known as the essential oil for humility and non-attachment. So I feel like it would be a really nice oil to help us during this phase, to help clear any blocks, negativity, you know, and help us make some progress emotionally and spiritually. You know, letting go of rigidity, stubbornness, maybe toxic relationships or toxic circumstances that perhaps are holding us back, and just helping ourselves become a little bit more humble and a bit more flexible. So, you know, there's kind of like a mixture of energy there when I describe it, you know, and I think it relates quite well to what you've been describing in terms of it's oregano, it's quite an intense oil. And I feel like the energy in this period is pretty intense too. But oregano is strong enough to cut through even the most stubborn of wills or the most, you know, heightened of emotions. So I think it can bring us balance during this time. And the way to use it is to either put it in a cold water diffuser, have it diffusing around your home. Also, you can inhale it from your hands, or more safely would be to inhale it from the bottle, because it's quite a hot oil. And it when I talk about these oils, I'm always describing the doTERRA oils that I love because of their purity and their potency. And the oregano oil is a very strong oil. So when you apply it topically, and you might do that to give you some support also on the physical level, because oregano oil is great for helping us fight bacteria, boosting the immune system. It's also used internally for cleansing the gut, and many other things. But when you apply it topically, you must always dilute it. So with a carrier oil, such as almond oil or coconut oil. And when you take it internally, I always recommend using a veggie capsule. You can get these also from doTERRA. They're empty veggie capsules, so that you just pop the drops of oil in there with a bit of olive oil, and then you take it like it would be a supplement, basically. And that way, that we use that, when we're trying to cleanse the gut from parasites or an overgrowth of bacteria, etc. So it can help on lots of levels, and it's a very strong scent. So when you diffuse it, you might want to combine it with some softer smelling oils, but it's a great cleanser in general.
That sounds wonderful. You said non-attachment, and I think that's really, really great, a supportive thing for this energy, because that helps keep us from going to that self-righteous point that I think is
right.
When you
and taking that step back, like you said, like you recommended. Yeah,
because Libra really is a nice energy. I don't want to, I'm a Libra. So I know that there's this balancing act that Libras are constantly doing. I always joke that, it's not that Libras are always in balance, it's that we're always trying to find balance. And when we have too much of any kind of energy, no matter what sign we're talking about, there's a chance of that too much going to extreme. And I think that that's what I was trying to caution. And the non-attachment is a really great way to do that. So that's a really great idea. I love this oil, and now I want to go use it.
Yeah, I think it's nice to talking about relationship, especially if it's a close relationship, somebody that you live with potentially. It's really nice to indirectly influence and help them, support them during this phase as well, by diffusing the oil
exactly
in the home, I think.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, Libra is about the other, for sure. It's one of the signs that it's probably the sign that's closest related to our closest personal relationships. And so that is why some of the intentions that, I'll put it in the blog so everyone can see it, but just to mention some intention setting ideas for your new moon intentions, which you would start Wednesday evening would probably be better, even though we're going into it like overnight Tuesday night. We won't actually be in the phase until Wednesday. So I would say wait until Wednesday, Thursday to write your intentions. And any relationship or anything that needs to be resolved around a relationship, this would be a good time to do it. It's a really good mixture of this retrograde energy with the Mars giving us the drive to do something about it, and then being a new moon in Libra, it's very relationship oriented. So if there's been something that hasn't been resolved and is festering, or maybe that you need to resolve it and you don't really want to, this could actually be a time to take that step, to go ahead and make that move, and have a plan. Because like I said, the words can come out like tiny little daggers. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it though. Sometimes conflict resolution is not always the most pleasant thing, but what comes afterwards it's kind of clearing air that really needs to be cleared or cleaned. And use some oregano oil in that process.
Yeah.
So I would say that if there's anything like that going on in your life, that is a really important thing to set some intentions around. Set intentions to approach anything that any relationship oriented stuff with an open mind. Set an intention to have more patience, because that's definitely going to be needed in October. Seeing other people's viewpoints is also really important under this new moon. And so I would definitely suggest that when you're considering your intentions, to also consider the others around you. Release, I think you said this, it's also something to write an intention about, but to release worn out relationships or parts of relationships. Let them go. If it's not functioning, this is under the new moon is a time to set an intention to let it go.
Okay.
And then other things to do over the next 2 weeks, because we know that the new moon phase goes about 2 weeks until the next full moon, is to, in that 2 weeks would be the time to talk to that other person if you do have some sort of resolution, conflict resolution to work on. Restart collaborative projects, collecting dust. So this is another kind of bringing together of Mercury retrograde with Libra energy, is bringing in the collaborations with others and also pulling out a collaborative project that's maybe got put on the sidelines, but you still want to do it. Under this next 2 weeks of the new moon phase is a good time to put some energy into it. Something that's already been started, or at least the outline has been written, but you haven't been able to kick it off. This could be a good time to kick it off.
It's funny because I had a dream last night about a project that hasn't that's kind of stopped, you know, and it's funny that you say that, because it maybe it's something that I need to pick up again.
Yeah, it's really a good time for it. So you want to always, with astrology, I think that instead of saying that the planets, I mean, we don't in astrology, at least the majority of astrologers, we don't say that the planets are making us do the energy. It's that the energy typically reflects what's going on. So when we know what the energy is suggesting and we try to use that energy, it's like we're propelling ourselves forward, where it's like air in the wind, or in the, in the sails, because we're working with the flow of the energy. We're like, oh, this is what's going on. Okay, let me do something that looks like that, and probably going to have more takeoff than if you were trying to do it under an energy that was suggesting something different. So there you go. That's cool. Yeah, I'll put the link to the blog, so all the ideas are there in writing, and as usual, I have a few journaling prompts to help through the new moon.
Yeah, thanks, Laurie. Great info and advice. And we'll be back for the full moon. The full moon is on 20th of October, right?
Yes.
So we'll be putting up a video just before that to give you some support to help you manage your emotions during that time.
Yep. Okay.
Thanks. Okay.
Thank you. See you next time. Bye.
Yeah. Bye. Bye.